All right, welcome everybody. We are going to start. It's 12:29, so thank you for everybody who's here, spending your breakfast or your lunch with us. And I'm really honored to introduce my longtime colleague, personal friend, Isabel Sawade. She's been the vice president of the Rhythmic Technical Committee and was just reelected. So we are totally grateful that she will continue to LA 2028, and we very much rely on her super professionalism in this committee. Isabel, welcome. She's an expert in DA. She is the authority. She's going to be talking to us today about DA for individual and for groups. And we really appreciate your time to talk to both our judges, but really most importantly, our coaches, so that they have a good understanding before our first competition. So thank you, Isabel, so much. And before I pass it over to you, I also want to thank you for your collaboration, because we will be welcoming the Olympic champion from Germany to the United States tomorrow at our national team camp, together with near bronze medalist Margarita Kolosov, and 2 weeks later we'll be welcoming the German group. So we are in a full-on January USA Germany, and there's nobody I'd rather work with, honestly, than you. So thank you for all of these great things, and welcome.
Thank you so much for your nice words. Thank you for having me. I mean, I will come personally, I promise, as soon as I can. But
yes, we're waiting for you.
We start on Zoom. But yeah, I'm grateful to be with you, and I'm happy if I could tell you something new, or if I can maybe eliminate some misunderstandings. I'm not sure, but I try my best. So honestly, my heart is in RGGDA, but we will start today with RGIDA. And yeah, so far your judges did great in the course, and I know some of you go next week to Mexico to the course. And I will be in Baku. I will go on Saturday to Baku, the first course, the first international. And I'm sure you will have a good exam now in Mexico or later, wherever you go. First, I have to charge my computer. Sorry, I missed that part.
No problem. And I spoke with Isabel prior to this, and we agreed that if everybody could listen, just listen to the first part of RGI, and after, if you have questions, we'll open up the chat. If she can answer them right away, she will. If there are things she needs to take back to the technical committee, she will. And then she will resume with group. We'll do the same system. Does that sound good for everybody that's on? So again, those questions, if you have them, you can put them in the chat, but I will work through them with Isabel after she's done what she wants to present for each of the sections.
Great. So the presentation, what I will show you now is on STS, but I understood not everyone has access to the platform, to the learning platform STS. And also we have question and answers, part 1, which is published. It was published already last year. And currently we are working on question and answers number 2. And there will also be an errata. This will be, we are working on it, and this will be decided by the FIG Executive Committee. I understood in an electronic vote. And then I'm not totally sure. So it has to be published before the competitions. That makes sense, that you all have even a better understanding of the errata. So we have some changes as well. I mean, when we developed this code of points, we thought about what could work and what not. And then you see, after you implemented it, you see that some things are maybe not working or maybe not totally great. And therefore, an errata is unfortunately necessary. It's, I know, a lot of work for the TC. It's a lot of work for you. But we have to work with this code of points the next 4 years. And if we see from the beginning that one thing is not working or it's not in favor for the majority of the gymnasts, so we have to change it now. But this will come very soon.
Would it be correct to understand that the exams will go forward as
Like
like the Intercontinental, and the errata will be effective whenever it's said?
for the competitions, right, right. Because the exams, all exams, I mean, we have a set of routines, and this was judged in September 2024. So, and the errata will affect the competitions or the new routines, but the exams will all be done by the
Current version.
explanations and by the original printed code of points. So we will not change anything during the exams or the exam period. So if you are in the position that you go to a course, let's say in Brazil in March, and you go also, no, you can also only go to competitions, then to international when you finish the course, yes? And then maybe you have to switch very quickly. But now the courses are all done in the same way.
Okay, and Isabel, today when you present for all of our coaches and judges, will you be presenting, you'll be presenting on the material if there's anything related to the errata? Can you address it or not yet?
Actually, no, I'm not sure if I have everything in my head. So I'm honestly working without the errata.
Okay,
So
so
what
we'll go with what's here, and for like, if a judge is preparing for the exam, this is what she's preparing for, and the coaches
Yeah.
will understand this, and then any modifications, everybody will understand together after it's published.
Yeah, yeah. So
Perfect.
what I
Okay.
can recommend you without being too official between us, I don't know, between us 83 people, it's on DB. I would not recommend to train a lot the backward illusion. Yeah, and I know that many people do that. And that would have been an element which, I mean, I don't know, which has a very, very high value, but also a big impact on the health of the gymnast. So when the vote for the errata goes through, the backward illusion will be differently.
Thank you for that recommendation, and also thank you to the technical committee.
Yeah, this is one thing I can tell you now, but I would be grateful if you could not publish that now on Facebook or Instagram to say, Isabel just published that with the backward illusion.
Absolutely
You
not.
wait until it's official. This is unofficially.
Absolutely not. Our community will not do that. This is just for their work. Thank you.
Okay. So now I try, because I have now different windows open, and it's always just a second. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to find my presentation number 4. Here it is. And now I share my screen. Sorry. So now you should see my presentation, DA, definition, and criteria. So we start with individual, and through the main things or the general information I go through very quickly. You know already that we have reduced the number of DAs from 20 to 15 for the seniors, and to 12 maximum. The first 12 DAs will be counted for the junior individuals. And we count or evaluate them in chronological order. So they can do more than 15 or 12, but they will just not be evaluated. And the good news, there's no more penalization for missing fundamental apparatus elements because we don't have any more fundamental apparatus elements. So the basis or the basic principle for the DA didn't change. It is a good system, what we did 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So with one apparatus space and minimum 2 criteria, or the other option is when we have a catch from a high throw and then a second apparatus base, a so-called combined base, then we need minimum 1 additional criterion. So these 2 options we have. If we go back to the left side, this is the most common one, so that we have 1 apparatus space plus minimum 2 criteria, and both criteria have to be executed during this 1 base. And then we have different values. We have 0.2, 0.3, or 0.4. And for the combined base, or combined bases, we have a value always for 0.4, because we count the highest base plus 0.1. And as we have always a 0.3 for the catch of the apparatus, the catch from a high throw, which is a 0.3, we automatically have always 0.4 for combined bases. So these are our options, 0.2, 3, or 0.4. When the DA consists of 1 apparatus space, the value of the base determines the DA value. So when we have a large roll plus 2 criteria, we have a 0.3. This is basic and this is not new. And when we have the catch from a high throw plus a second base, as I mentioned already, we have a 0.3 plus 0.1. Caroline, can you just give me a feedback if the videos are playing okay?
Yes. Can
You can see that. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Isabel.
Yeah, I forbid my girls to do anything in the internet right now the next 2 hours.
Thank you. It's good. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is a table for the criteria for the DA. So we have outside the visual field, without the help of the hands, under the leg, position on the floor. We have a full body wave, which is not a requirement anymore for DB. So the full body wave we have only as criterion for DA. Then we have a difficulty of body and a rotation. So these are our options to build DAs together with a valid base. Here for the presentation, we have a system which is a green check, which is okay. This element is valid. We have a red cross, which means it's not valid. It's an attempt, but it's a 0 and it's counted among the first 15 DA. And we have this blue cross, which means it's not an attempt. So we want to explain it, but this element has not sufficient criteria, or the criteria, former criterion are not counted anymore. So this is a separate explanation. And now we already come to the maybe most challenging criterion. This is outside the visual field. So we receive many questions, and we also have the most discussions with outside the visual field. And first of all, please look at these pictures. What are the zones for outside visual field? Most important one is that one. So everything what is behind my body, which is behind my back, is considered as outside visual field. Also here, when we are in the split leap position, behind the back, under the body, this is outside visual field. When we are in this back bend position, this zone here is considered outside, and also this one. Same for here. So we always come back to these pictures. And what is also very important, the criterion outside the visual field is evaluated for the position of the arm. So the working arm, or maybe later we come also, maybe the working leg is important. If she does something with the leg, of course, we look where the leg is. But in general, we speak about the position of the working arm. And of course, we have some exceptions. For spirals and snakes with a ribbon, we speak about the working hand. So here we only look where the hand is, not the stick of the ribbon, but the working hand. And here our body part, which executes the apparatus elements according to the above zones. So the role of the ball here is outside the visual field. I mean, that's an example which is not full of questions. This we know. Also here, this is a double base, so the catch and immediate rethrow. It's caught outside the visual field. I think that's clear. Elements which are performed in front or on the side of the body are not valid for this criterion, even if the trunk is bent back or if she tries to bend it back. Look at this one. This is one of my favorite examples. I mean, they attempt, they want to have this outside visual field because she has a DB and she has the role here, but this is not outside visual field. Yes, even if she bends her head. This is nothing. I mean, this is not valid. And same here. So her hands, sorry, it's spirals. Yes, we speak about spirals, but her hand is here. It's next to the head. It's here. It's not behind her body. And therefore, also this one is not valid. If she would have her hand here, really behind her head, of course, this is possible. And many, many examples which we see today or which we see in competitions always depend on the execution, because we receive questions and they describe the element and we can only say, show us, and then we can say yes or no. But we cannot give general yes or no's. So if you have your arm bent here, this is valid or not valid. So I hope you can see me. If you bend your arm here and you do spirals here or snakes, that's fine because your hand is behind your head. It's outside the visual field. It's in that zone. And for all coaches, please make it as clear as possible. Eliminate the question marks. Make it clear where's the arm. Please push the gymnast to have the arm really in the zone for outside. So the complete apparatus space or a complete action among the defined 2 or more actions must be performed outside the visual field, but also here we have exceptions. And these are large rolls and sliding. These 2 bases are outside the visual field if any part, the beginning, middle, or end of the roll, is performed in a zone defined as outside the visual field. This is not new because we always, when we had a roll here, we always accepted it as outside visual field. It's just the text is a little bit different, or we call it now an exception. And also mills are outside the visual field if minimum 2 of the 4 circles are performed in a zone defined as outside the visual field. Here you can see that roll. So the first part for sure is not outside. Yes, here she has visual control, but here the second part is outside, and that's okay. This is valid. And here she has her arms, at least one hand is behind her back, and this is also valid as outside visual field. So 2, here this would be my left arm, 2 of the 4 circles are outside, and therefore this is valid. So for throws, rebounds, rethrows, etc., it's not enough that the apparatus travels backwards. The throwing arm or a body part or other body part must be in the zone. So, and this is an example. We received questions, and I totally understand why we received these questions. Because I tell you the working arm has to be outside the visual field, and here we see that half of the arm is on the side. And we received that question and answered it in Q&A 1. If you have that document, it's on page 6, it's question number 34. And we specified that. And that's important not only for throws. The throwing arm must be in the zone defined as outside the visual field. That's a question. Does the whole arm have to be in this zone, or is it enough that a part of the arm is in the zone? And the answer is the gymnast can use different techniques for the throw. To receive outside the visual field, most of the arm should be in the defined zone. Why? Because, I mean, the whole arm, it's from the shoulder. And that's very hard, or most times, maybe it's not outside, or not the whole arm is outside. So in that special case, she bends her arm back. That means she has a big part of her arm is behind the back. Otherwise, she could not throw with this technique. And this is acceptable. So this technique, sorry, for the throw, for the high throw, it's accepted. And I think even here, you can see, or maybe it's hard in that perspective, but that her arm goes to the back and the biggest part is outside the visual field. We will have later examples with the small throws with the clubs, where we have also to watch very carefully if it's outside or not. So to summarize, this throw is okay if she has a straight arm. Anyway, it's outside visual field if she has it to the back. And if she throws behind her back with a bent arm, here that's also accepted. I'll show it without stopping again. So that's okay. Here is catch with rebound. That's no question. That's for sure outside visual field. And here for the throw, this is not outside. Yeah, she releases the ball here, just up, but not outside the zone. It's not behind her back or behind her body. So this is not. So outside visual field is generally only given for techniques where the working arm is down, back, and not for techniques where the working arm is up, back, near the head, except the following 3 points. So this example is okay. We have to differentiate now between the arm here, the straight arm here, or when she has the hand here, hand or arm here behind her head. So this is okay because anyway, she has the spirals and her hand is behind her head, outside visual field. Here, it's not behind. It's the plane, it's at the side. I hope this is understandable. So I repeat it always because this is the main point of outside visual field. So this is not considered as outside visual because her arm or hand, we speak about the hand for spirals, it's next to her head, but not behind the head. And now, and this is very complicated now, and I needed also a few times. I had to watch it a few times until I understood. So this is not an attempt as DA because there's no attempt of the new definition of outside visual field. So because we say in the code of points, I mean, anyway, this would not be outside visual field, yes? But the definition is, not just a second, the code of points, that we give outside visual field, or the criterion is generally only given for techniques where the working arm is down back. And in this example here, her arm is not down back. So this is nothing anymore. So last cycle, we thought this is an attempt. She wants to have outside visual field. But here she has it really on the side or next to her head. And this is not anymore in the definition for outside visual field. So I hope for the new routines that we have it quite clear. And if you do the exam, please always, when the arm is here somewhere, it means also for the group, if they throw like that, this cannot be outside visual field. It's just not possible. Only they have a catch here. This would be outside visual field because it's directly behind the head. Or if the arm is down back, this is outside visual field. But here, it's not possible to be outside visual field. So when the trunk is bent backward, below horizontal, outside visual field is given for bases performed anywhere on the posterior, so the back side of the trunk. Here. So she catches here in that zone, and her trunk is below horizontal. So that's also quite clear. And when the trunk is bent backward below horizontal outside the visual field, is given for basis performed on the trunk, so the front side of the body, at chest level or lower. This point does not apply for any type of throwing action, but for catches after small throws, etc. Look at this. That's great. So this would be outside visual field and DB. This would be a valid DA. So her trunk is horizontal, but the arms are up. So this would not be a DA. Here, that's for the catch. So her catch was when her trunk was bent below horizontal, and that's always a tricky question. Yes, so the gymnast really has to go down, and sometimes we can only see that in slow motion, and I know we don't have slow motion in the competition. So we have to try to train that to get used to those catches. Can we give outside visual field or not? So here for the throw, the arms were up and not valid for outside. So when the gymnast lies on the floor face up, bases performed with the help of the hands with arms overhead are not outside the visual field. And outside visual field is not given for the ball caught in two hands behind the neck with both arms bent. This is not new. Now we go to the examples. Here also a tricky moment because we need her arm, and that means most of the arm. It's not just enough to have the hand. So at least to the elbow, she needs to have it here outside the visual field behind her body. So if she has a different position, or if she's not that far, then it would not be valid. But in that example, she goes quite far, and therefore this would be okay for outside. That's easy. And we speak about the throw here. That's outside visual field. We speak only about the throw. Here, it's the wrong wording because we speak about the hand for the spirals, but it's the arm is here and also the hand is here on the side. So the stick goes to the back, but to get outside, she needs to put her arm more back. Here we speak about the hand, and both examples are okay. So here it's outside for the spirals, and here for the snakes, her hand is also behind her body. Don't know if that's clear, but I can stop it. So here, that's the first one. And here also her hand, now it was too late, but her hand is supposed to be between her legs on the back side of her body. Here we have again the roll, which is clear outside. Here the catch, you can see, I mean, even her trunk is not below horizontal and her arm is here up. That's not valid. You speak about the catch. And this is the example which I mentioned before, the small throws of the clubs. So her arm here on the side. She just pushed the club for the small throw with her hand. And as long as the arm is here, totally on the side, we would not give it. If the arm is here and she makes it like that, then we can give outside visual field. Sorry, I was too fast here again to that example. It depends how the gymnast does this throw. And again, I beg you, coaches, please make sure that she has her arm or most part of the arm behind her body, or the line behind her body. Must not necessary to have it here behind the body, but to have it backwards. I hope that's the correct wording. And here I give you that example again. For the throw, her arms are here. That's not outside. And some more. Also this tricky example. Here, it depends where the arms are. So if you have this type of DA, so you can do that, no problem. But make sure that the arms, the major part of the arms, are behind her body. And this depends how she lifted, if she lifted her hips or not, and how far. Where is the arm position? So in that case, this is tolerated. I don't say that's totally great. It's not 100%, but the arm or the arms are behind the trunk line. So this would be okay. But always, please, judges, check where the arms are. Also, this is okay. And I can tell you that was a big discussion. It's not that everyone says, yes, this is black or white. So that was a long discussion if we accept that or not. But that's accepted and that's the line. So you can see here her arm, sorry. Her arm during the catch is behind her head. And this is valid for outside visual field. Also here, she has her hand. Again, we speak about the hand because it spirals. It's okay. The roll is okay. And here, not. What's the difference to the first example? So the difference is that her arm is here. So she has, it's not behind, because in the moment she releases the club, it's on the side. We speak about the side, and it's not behind her back. So if she would turn and she would throw the club behind, then of course it's outside visual field. But as she has it here, her body position, her body and arm position, her arm is just on the side. This is okay. The rows are clear, and also the throw here, her arm was down back, which is okay. And here we have not a complete base. And also here when she starts, and also here, it's not outside visual field. So she only, she only turns at the end, but this is not behind her body, and the base is not complete. So the question we received is outside the visual field if the working leg is behind the body and the apparatus is in front of the face. Same as working arm behind the body and hand or apparatus on the side or front of the body. And we have these two examples. This is for CC, for the groups. but you can see her working leg is here, but she has visual control, but we say the working leg, she's pushing the balls with the leg or with the foot. And this is accepted as outside visual field because it's very hard to coordinate. And here, this is like we had before the mills. So she's catching the hoop here, and this is also outside visual field. Okay, that was outside visual field. We also have the questions which are interesting. If we have catches, for example, from the hoop, while lying completely on the back, the gymnast catches the hoop by blocking it against the floor with the legs. The legs are inside the hoop. Is this outside the visual field? This is not. So if you have the Q&A, question number 41, 42, and I hope we can give you with that Q&A some better understanding for outside visual field. Next chapter is without the help of the hands. The apparatus must have a complete autonomous technical movement without the help of the hands. And this can be initiated with an impulse from another part of the body or with an initial impulse from the hands. But hereafter, the apparatus must have a complete autonomous technical movement without the hand or hands. So that small throw was without the help of the hands. So here she did it with the legs or feet. Here it's classical for the hoop. So we have the impulse with the hand, but after it's an autonomous technical movement without the hands. It's not valid for the direct catch in rotation on the straight arm. So this is not without hands. With throwing or catching the apparatus on the back of the hands. Or with the catch of a club on the inner side of the hand or forearm using the other club. This is also not without hands. Examples. So this is catching with another club. This is valid. Totally clear without hands. This was not valid because she had no autonomous technical movement. So that was not complete. The base was not good. So it could be the impulse can be with the hand, but then this TA is not valid as the base is not correct. Also here, it's okay. This thrust for sure without hands. Again, here it was not a correct base.
Isabel, could you possibly play the previous example one more time with Simakova because it kind of didn't show? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can show it again.
I think it was clear the second time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was not a complete 360. So it could be, depends again on the execution, but this special example here is not valid.
Yeah, thanks. It just didn't play right. The second time and third was great. Thank you.
Okay. And this one, it's without hands because it's with the other club. Here we received the question, does she lean or is it a support on the hand or apparatus? But I think here it's visible that she doesn't lose the balance. I mean, she doesn't lose her axis. Yeah, so she is catching one club with the help of the other. So it's without hands and there's no technical mistake here. So this is okay and no execution penalty. Also, that throw is without hands. And here, that's a special case. It's not an attempt because the base is even not valid without hands. So this is included. This is required by the base. So we don't give the criterion without hands here. Under the legs, so next criterion. So we want to see a difficult body apparatus relationship performed under the leg or under the legs. And we have also here the drawings. And first example, so this is a small throw under the leg, which is okay. Here we have a high throw, also good. Mills under the leg in the dive flip, which is under the leg and in the rotational element. So also this DA is good. And also here the small throw, the catch of the small throw in the dive flip, it's okay. I go back because I jumped to the questions to make it more clear. Question number 43 is for a small throw to receive the criterion under the leg, what exactly must be under the leg? The working arm, part of the arm, the hand, or just the apparatus? And the answer is the explanation about the working arm or working body part is only given for outside the visual field. For under the leg, at least the hand must be under the leg. This is important. So the hand, the working hand must be under the leg. It's not enough that the apparatus just travels under the leg. So we need the hand. So for the clubs, when mills are performed with one arm on each side of the leg, the mills themselves occur under the leg. And the criterion under the leg is valid regardless of the body's orientation. So this we can consider as a kind of exception because I spoke about the working arms. But if we have the mills, I mean, somehow they have normally to cross, and this means that the hands are under the leg, but we watch that examples. And I think this is good news for the coaches and gymnasts. So this is okay for DA. Also this one, but of course I wish for myself a clear balance. So a fixed balance, and you can have the mills under the leg, and this is accepted. Some more. This is classical, yes, classical example, and still okay, also with a new code of points to have this in the Fuite pivot. Also here in the balance, and I think also here we give an explanation because the question was about the shape of this tire-bouchon, which is okay and counted as a DB. Here the small throw of 2 clubs under the leg. It's good. Small throw of the ball. So small throw of 1 club here. And also here, the small throw was under the leg. Now, this is very difficult to see on the video, therefore we watch it again. So the first DA is okay. The arm is visible under the leg. So this one, when she's catching. Even it's, for me, still hard to see because it's could also be more on the side. But this is, oh, sorry. Okay, for the under the leg. But here, when she has the second one, the arms, both arms are at the side. So as an explanation, this was tricky. By the way, if you go to the exam, it can happen that those clips which are shown here are from the full routines, for the exam routines. So we tried, when we had tricky moments, to explain it here in the PPT so that you have, maybe sometimes you remember, this we saw already on STS. Next criterion is position on the floor. And we have some new definitions, but still the apparatus elements performed while in a position on the floor have to be from the beginning to the end of the DA. On the floor means support on any part of the stomach and or chest, support on any part of the back and or neck, or lying completely down on the side. Leg position is free. And for bases with 2 or more actions, it's sufficient to be in the position on the floor during the one action that has 2 criteria, release or catch. Let's say when we speak about catch, small throw and catch. So if you have the 2 criteria on the throw, you need to be on the floor during the throw. And here we have the pictures. And we have the examples. First one, second. Both are okay. Both have positions on the floor. Also this one, valid for on the floor. Mills, okay. Here, and you see, sometimes we updated the STS presentation. This was done on 20th of November. I show you again why. So first, because they focused on the floor, and this is on the floor, even if the arm is, I mean, this is not with the arm. The position on the floor is no question. The question here was that the roll starts here. And the base is not complete. That was the problem. So we got the feedback and we agreed this is not a complete base because normally she should start here, but she starts here. So these are not 2 large body segments, and therefore this is not valid because it's not a complete base. Two valid DAs on the floor. Here, this is, I want to explain, because that was also a question we received. Is this still on the floor even she has her arm under her trunk? But it's yes. So this is okay. When she starts, when she gives the impulse with the hand and the hand is under her trunk, this is okay. This one, she put this clip to show the position on the floor. So this, I don't know how you call it in English. In German, we say chest balance. So balance on the chest. It's a valid position, but here she, of course, has no base. just to show you the position on the floor. And here as an example, this is not valid for the floor because when she starts the roll, this is not a valid position on the floor. Yeah, she's upright with her trunk, more or less, but not on the floor. And this is, I mean, also not two complete rolls. So this would not be valid. And here we have examples which are not considered as position on the floor. But still, this is a dB. Oh, sorry, that was my mistake. She has a base without hands and a dB. Maybe that's the wrong animation here. I wait for the tag. This is not on the floor, but she has without hands outside visual field, so still valid as a DA. This is not a position on the floor, but also she has without hands outside visual field. That's okay. And we didn't watch that. She had under the leg, which is not valid anymore. And therefore she has only one. She wants to have outside visual field. So one base, one criterion, but the second one is missing. Therefore, it's not an attempt. And here now we have the green text. So this is valid, but not for position on the floor. So a new rule is that we can have a maximum of 3 consecutive DAs in the position on the floor. And after 3 DAs performed in consecutive positions defined as position on the floor, the gymnast has to pass through minimum 1 connecting move or difficulty that is not in a position on the floor. And then again, she can come back to a position on the floor. All or any additional consecutive DA on the floor until the gymnast has left the floor are counted as an attempt of DA, and they are not valid, regardless of 2 other valid criteria. And there's a penalty taken by the DA judges, a 0.3 penalty. Let's check that. We have 1, 2, 3, and then she goes up. She goes up on the knees. This is a position which is not on the floor. Again, we have 1, 2, 3. That's okay. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she goes up. So let's see it again. That's the first one. That's okay. That's valid. Now we have that one, and you remember I showed you on the previous slide. This is not a full base because she has not 2 large body segments. So second one, but it's an attempt. You can see she want to do a DA, but it's just not performed correctly. So that's a second, but it's not valid. Third one, and now fourth. That means first one was valid, third one was valid. Second one not because of an incomplete base. And the fourth one was the 4th consecutive DA on the floor. So we count 4 among the first 15, but we don't give the 4th one because it's a 4th on the floor. And she gets a penalty of 0.3 for that. And I really hope that we won't see that. But you saw we had cases where gymnasts did 4, 5, or maybe more DAs on the floor. And so we had to react and to do something against that. So next criterion is the full body wave. And the full body wave is still a sequential contraction and decontraction of all the muscles of the body along the chain of body segments like an electric current. And I know this definition and a lot of efforts and explanations came from Caroline in the previous cycle. She explained very well. And I think many gymnasts made progress in the waves. But still we can see bad examples, and we tried to simplify the code of points. So we saw that many gymnasts use it as a criterion for the DA. So we thought it's not necessary to make it a requirement in DB, but they will use it. So we want to see beautiful body waves, no question. And now we try to take it only as a criterion for DA. The participation of the arms is not compulsory. The eventual use of the arms is determined by the apparatus and/or choreography. And the amplitude of the wave is free. So it can be that the amplitude is very small, but if all body is involved and if she has the wave movement, it's still okay. So the full body waves can be forward, backwards, sideways, can be backwards with passing to the floor, full body wave with spiral turn, etc. All body waves must be different. Different by having waves forward, backward, sideways, with the legs together or apart, but identical, repetitive are considered the same. So identical repetitions are the same. Then we receive the question, is an ascending body wave with a value of 0.3 going to be notated on the paper as dB or as a wave? Because it's listed in the table of difficulties. And the answer is, in this case, the criteria is dB. So not dB and wave, just dB. And I think this is about number 17, the dynamic balance from kneeling to standing over the toes. So this is the question. And some examples. That was a good example. So she had the wave movement, she had all the body. Here, that was no sequential contraction and decontraction. So she was just bending forward and no wave movement. It's not totally great, but accepted. So she had the wave movement, but she had a short interruption, which is tolerated. But please, also coaches, if you want to do a roll in the wave, don't stop too long. So it's not possible to do the roll in a stop position and then do the wave. So the roll should be during the wave movement. Here we have not all segments included. It's more or less only bending forward. And also this is not a sequential contraction. This is okay. It's for me, it's on the border. But we have some wave movement. Not totally great, I agree. And this is not. And here you can see the slide, and that's the reality when we judged. So I would say more than 50% of the waves are not good, are not sufficient to fulfill the requirements. Of course, when you have the exam, I don't know which routines will be in your exams. So the routines are different in every set of exams. But in general, so far, that was my impression without counting it, that mostly the waves were not great. So sometimes we saw good ones, but not all of them were great. So next criterion is body difficulty. We accept body difficulties with a value of 0, 1 or more points. A body difficulty which is defined by a rotation or a position on the floor may only be counted as a body difficulty. During each body difficulty, maximum 1 DA may be performed. Any additional DA in the same DB, for example, in a fouetté balance or in a fouetté pivot, counts as an attempt of a DA, but is not valid. And in series of leaps and rotations, 1 DA on each DB in the series is possible if performed according to the DA requirements. An identical repetition of a DA counts as an attempt of DA and is not valid. So here we have the rotation of the hoop around its axis without hands and in a DB. And that's important, this example, because it's not anymore outside visual field like we had in the previous cycle. It's only without hands and DB. So in this timing, it's not great. So she starts too late with the roll. So we have some tolerance, but here she already went down with her leg. She left the shape when she started the roll. And if we have a DB which is not performed according to the basic characteristics, so we don't give the DA or the criterion DB. Like in this balance, like here, the balance with the hop. And also here, we need a fixation, a short fixation of the balance to recognize it as DB. And a reminder for a large roll in a balance. So the impulse for the roll can be done at the same time as the impulse for the DB, or after the impulse for the DB. After the initial impulse, the balance DB is expected to be fixed for the duration of the roll. And if not, the DB criterion is not valid for the large roll for DA. And a large roll is not valid or not a valid apparatus technical element for the balance DB. Like here. Yes. So the roll is almost finished when she lifts her leg up. So this is the coordination between apparatus and body. It's not good, therefore not valid. And this is new and important. Any repetition of a DB, including shapes performed within a fouetté balance, with or without DA, in this difficulty will not be valid for the DB criterion. This criterion may be combined with position on the floor if 360 degrees rotation is performed while maintaining the position on the floor from the beginning to the end of the base. But okay, the last sentence, it's not that important, but important here, the message is any repetition of a DB. Let's see the examples. Here we have a fouetté balance, including passé. And then later, she has a passé balance. So this is a repetition, and also after long discussion, that it's not evaluated at all. So this is ignored, the second passé shape. Again, even she had a DA in the second shape, but not in the passé. That's the next example. Sorry, I was too fast. I want to show you that again. So this was first gymnast. So second is not evaluated. And now we go back to Atamanov. So fouetté, including passé. And later she has only passé, which was possible so far. It's now not possible anymore. And we have 3 attempts here. So first is okay, the rotation. Second is under the leg. It's not a valid criterion anymore. And then we receive the question, is this outside visual field? But we said for outside visual field, the working arm has to be, or most part, the main part for the working arm. And here we have only the hand here. So this is not outside visual field, therefore not a valid DA. And the third one, it's also ignored. For the exam, it can happen, or it will happen, I'm sure, that gymnasts have a penché balance and penché ring. This is now in the same box. Before, it was 2 different difficulties, and now it's the same one. This is also a repetition. So if she has penché and after penché ring and any DA, so the second one would be a repetition and ignored. Same for the pivots, penché pivot, penché ring pivot. This is a good example. So valid DB, valid DA. Also here, we have a penché balance and the bounce outside visual field. Here the catch of the club outside visual field during the DB. It's good. Interesting example here, because we have the same gymnast 2 times here. It's a small clip. So we have penché pivot and passing outside visual field. Same gymnast, different competition. So, and you see, this is not because the base was not during the DB, because she had to leave the shape. Here again. So this is not balance. It's just kick, not fixed at all, and therefore not valid. And also here, and that's important, cabriole as a body difficulty, we need some, how can we say, angle for that? So we need 45 degrees of the legs, and this looks more like a chassé. This is not a valid cabriole. And same, like I said, for the waves, also the cabrioles, which we saw, many of them are not well executed. So many of them, we had to say, sorry, but this is not a body difficulty. I understand that many coaches want to find a quick and maybe easy DB or DA, but we have to check if the DB has a good execution, and this is not a good one. The question, is a DA valid at the end of a fouetté turn For example, small throw of a club under the leg. I understand that the technical apparatus work will not count towards the DB after 2 turns, but there's no explanation on whether DA will count in fouetté turn if performed after the first 2 rotations. And the answer is yes. An eventual DA toward the end of the fouetté rotation may be counted. And now I go further, because this question answers, which are included in the PowerPoint, was before or in November or before. And here it's also important to know. Question number 44. The gymnast executes a fouetté pivot with multiple rotations. In rotation 4, the gymnast executes a large deviation. So that means the leg goes less than 70 degrees. In rotation 6, the gymnast attempts a DA. Is the DB criterion valid? And the answer here is no. If the DB is not anymore performed according to its definition, the DB criterion is not valid. That's tricky for the DA judges. So, you know, when she has this large deviation in a fouetté pivot, so more than 20 degrees deviation, DB judges stop to count from that moment. And now the DA judges also have to check if this DB is valid. So same like we do with the cabriole, same like we do with the balance, we have to check, is the DB valid? Was there a large deviation? And if yes, we don't count the DA, which is maybe in the last rotation or in this plie position. And the last, I think it's the last criterion, rotation. We didn't change anything here in the definition, so it's minimum 360 degrees. The whole definition of the base must be shown at some phase of the rotation. It's acceptable that the base is completed before the rotation is completed. And for large rolls, the impulse for the roll and the impulse for the rotation may be done at the same time. This criterion is not valid for DB, which include a rotation. And this criterion may be combined with position on the floor if the 360 rotation is performed while maintaining the position on the floor from the beginning to the end of the base. So first one, here 360 degrees, that's good. Also that one is good, the impulse was the same. And the criterion, so we can have rotation and on the floor together. It's possible with this log roll. Some examples here. I go through them quickly. That was okay. Also, this rotation was good. That was not a full rotation. Look when she starts. So here her trunk is towards that corner to the back. And here she stops. So that rotation was not full. Okay. Okay. That was also not a full rotation. So she starts more or less to the back and then she turns only half. That's okay. It's not complete. And also the mills are horrible, honestly. And here also we don't have a full rotation when she's full on the floor. So maximum of 3 pre-acrobatic elements, each from different groups of pre-acrobatic elements, may be performed for the criterion rotation. Pre-acrobatic elements are also evaluated in chronological order. That means only the first 3 will be evaluated. And any additional DA with pre-acrobatic elements count as an attempt of DA, but they are not valid. Even they have 2 other valid criteria, but there's no penalty. A repetition of the same pre-acrobatic element performed in 2 or more separate DA counts as an attempt of DA, and it's not valid. So please consider, if you do the exam, we have this illusion, which was in the previous cycle, a DB, so illusion DB and pre-acrobatic illusion. That was different. So gymnast maybe had these 2 types of illusion, and now it's the same. So it can happen that gymnasts have this in their routine. Let's check the examples. So roll, cartwheel, illusion, and walk over forward. So these are 4 pre-acrobatics, and the 4th DA cannot be validated, but it counts as an attempt. When a pre-acrobatic element is connected to a DB with or without DA, or is used for choreography, it counts as one of the 3 pre-acrobatic elements. And also this group of pre-acrobatic elements cannot be repeated for any DA. So here we have a walkover backward, so we cannot use that again. And when a DA continues through a pre-acrobatic element and a DB, it counts as one of the 3 pre-acrobatic elements. Like here. So she used now walk over forward and cannot use it again. Here's some more examples for pre-acrobatic. Here, the last one is not, because the base was performed before the rotation was done. So she first caught the club and then she did the illusion. So the choice of vertical rotations is not recorded by the DA judges. Vertical rotations can be executed as a mix of vertical rotation groups, and they can be repeated freely as long as the DA is not a totally identical repetition. So this is what 5.6.2 is saying. It cannot be repeated identically. And now we have also the case that we have the combination of 2 bases. This is roll and then a small throw. And the rule is that if we have 2 consecutive apparatus bases, they are evaluated as 2 separate DAs only when there's a clear end. That means a stop after the first base before the second one is started. In this example, there's no stop. So that's roll and small throw. So this is then 1, and we count the higher base. So this is 0.3 for the roll. Here we have rotation and small throw. These are 2 bases with the same value, 0.2. That means we count 1 time 0.2. If we have two consecutive same apparatus spaces performed in the same body apparatus relationship without stopping the apparatus for two or more consecutive body elements or body difficulties, it counts as one DA. Here, and this is classical. We have it since I don't know how many years, and we have clips for that since how many years. Still, gymnasts are doing that. So walkover and balance, it's one DA. And also here we have the spirals for the rotation and the same spirals for cabriole. Also, this will be maximum one DA. And here we have an example what was written before. We have 1 dB of fouetté balance, but 2 DAs or 2 apparatus bases here. So we count only the first one. But the second one counts as an attempt. So when we have 2 apparatus bases and they are combined without catch from a high throw, and only one criterion is executed, it's not evaluated as a DA. When we have 2 bases combined and 2 criteria, the base which is executed with 2 criteria will be valid. And if both bases are executed with 2 criteria, the highest base will determine the value. Look at this example. We have roll and passing. The highest base is the roll, it's a 0.3. And all bases with 2 or more actions are counted as one base for each total element and not as one base small throw for the first phase and one base rebound on the body for the second base. Here it's important for the 5-6-2, an identical repetition of a DA, which means repetition of an entire combination of base and criteria performed identically counts as an attempt and is not valid. If one criterion is performed during the release, now we are speaking about the boomerang of the ribbon. So if one criterion is performed during the release of the boomerang and 2 criteria are performed during the catch of the boomerang is still valid. The question we received is, can you intentionally catch the material of the ribbon after a boomerang toss? No, only catch of the stick is foreseen. So all catches of the fabric are not valid, not in risk, not in DA, not in exchange, not in collaborations. And then we have also to pay attention if a gymnast wants to do a risk, but she has some problems, and then this element or the throw can become a DA. Here, so we guess that she wanted to do a risk, but at the end, she's doing a throw in a rotation without hands, so that's a DA. Also here, it's a DA. Question is if it's a high throw or small throw, but she's doing it without hands, outside visual field in a rotation. And then, of course, we have to pay attention about the maximum 3 pre-acrobatical elements. So we can do an isolated DB under the flight of a high throw or boomerang. And if an isolated DB is performed under the flight, we cannot do another DB of any value with a throw and or catch. Even if this DB is only intended as a criterion for DA or similar, because only the first of the DBs will be evaluated. Look at this example. We have a leap, and then in the catch, she wanted to catch and roll. The roll is not good. She does another DB. And if she does the second DB, in this case, the DA is not valid, but counts as an attempt. Now, very quickly, we go through the double bases. Here we have catch and passing. Also here, catch and passing.
Isabel, I'm not sure if it's just me. It's the screen became a little bit blurry right now, but it could just be my computer.
Okay. I mean,
but
here the clips from that, from the European Championships, they are bad. They are somehow blurry. And also here from Rio, also wait, the quality is also not quite good from the clip.
yeah, I think for others it's just kind of blurry. So, but I think they yep.
But is it visible? So I didn't change.
This one, I mean, this one, I think they understand this probably, but for some reason this page is very blurry. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay, okay. So I will explain. So this is catch and direct rethrow. So as a
Yes.
double base. And also here, catch and direct rethrow without hands, outside visual field in a rotation. So we have many criteria here.
This one froze, so
The last
I'm not
one.
sure. It's okay, it froze. I think they understand your general point, but the last, yeah, that one we could see
Okay.
is just a little bit blurry. Somehow it became blurry.
Okay, so we are almost done with that
Yeah.
presentation.
Mhm.
All the time anyway. Here one example with the thrust push rebound using different parts of the body except hands, arms. That's the definition. Maybe you can see that one. So this is not a double base because we say for the rebound, you cannot use the hands or arms. So in that case, it's not an attempt. So it's not according to the definition anyway. So this would be nothing. Now we have some more, but this we saw already at the beginning. So this is catch and roll. It's okay. Also here we have catch and direct roll. Play it again. I'm not sure if it works good. It's in a DB. Catch and roll. And I mean, that's very nice, but also hard to see because it's so dark. Catch and roll during a DB. Okay, so that was the first part. And I see now we have some questions. I
Can
go
you
through the
see
questions.
them? Okay, yeah. I think there's questions in the chat and also in the Q&A. Can you access both of those?
Yes.
Okay. I think the first one in the Q&A probably referred to the example with Kolosov in the back scale, I think.
I'm in the, I think I'm in the chat.
Okay.
Q&A here, wait.
That's fine.
So the question here is if it is not outside of visual field, referring to gymnastics in the back scale, because her hands, arms position. Therefore, we still write this DA on form, but not credited correct. Yes, but this is not totally solved, not from our side. Because when we speak about colors of this back scale, balance, and this moth rose, so for sure it's not a DA, but one remark, and it's correct, says, what if she doesn't want to have a DA? So why we give it for her as an attempt? And this we have to solve from our side. Maybe she just want to do it as an apparatus handling here, the throw. I mean, I know that she for sure tried to do a DA, but it was not executed correctly. So right now, yes, we say she attempts on DA, but it's a 0. But here, this is not the end of the story. So we have to solve that. It's so far unsolved problem, honestly. And then will the catch of the apparatus outside of the visual field at the chest level and below be valid during body waves as well? Yes, it will. So if she's below horizontal, if the arm is there, it can be also done during a body wave, right?
I mean, Isabel, at that point, it doesn't matter what the body element is, right? It's just the position that she's in. As long as it's the
Correct.
position, whether it's a wave, a walkover, a back
Correct.
arch, right?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, Dranka, you wrote ball caught. It's going on. Ball caught in 2 hands behind the neck with both arms bandaged, not outside the visual field. If the catch is with 1 hand, yes. So 2 hands, no. 1 hand, yes, it's possible. And now I go to the chat. So there was one question, is fish flop considered on the floor when performed with the shoulders top of the trunk is on the floor the whole time? No, I would say no. So we have in rotation, definition for rotation for DA, it's on page 60. The last dot, this criterion, so criterion rotation may be combined with position on the floor if the 360 rotation is performed while maintaining the position. And I understand this as the same position on the floor from the beginning to the end of the base. This is more this log roll. So far, that's the only example I know that this is on the floor. So a normal roll forward, also some body part is on the floor, but we don't give on the floor for a roll forward. And also this. If you want, I can go back to my colleagues, but so far I'm very sure that this is not on the floor. So if I'm wrong, I will give you the answer, but I would say no. You also, this is about the frozen blurry. So what happened there?
It was just discussion, I think, about the clip.
Clips, yes. Depends on the clip. The PowerPoint itself is right.
The next question, I think, refers to Code of Points, page 57, regarding the complete apparatus base.
So for that passing through, the question is if with the base passing through, we need 2 body parts. So is it enough if the passing through is initiated by a body part outside the visual field? Is this sufficient?
I think maybe the question came, Isabel, because of the example of the penché
Yes.
pivot with
Arnasco.
Arnasco, where she starts and she initiates that outside, but then it passes in front.
Right, right. So the question, or the answer, I would say it's yes, it's sufficient to have the impulse for that. If I'm mistaken, so I'm just thinking about other examples. I agree that Hanasco, I mean, she goes, then the hoop, part of the hoop is here.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave that. And I'm thinking about other examples, but for passing through, I would say, yes, it's sufficient to give the impulse. Also here, I will take a photo of that question. So if it's not possible, I will come back to you. So
Great.
take it as yes, it's possible. If not, Caroline, I will contact you.
I think she's asking, and I know other people sort of had this question because we all recognize it as outside visual, but because the text says that the complete action of has to
Yeah.
be outside except for the exceptions, that's where it comes
Yeah,
from.
understand.
Yep, thank you.
If the gymnast stops in back scale, flips her clubs and catches if below chest, it's DA. Yes. So for small throws and catches, it's okay if we have one action with the two criteria. That's okay. When Fouetté turn DA, I think apparatus handling is first or second rotation, so DA handling is valid. When maximum to Fouetté turn after that. This I don't understand.
I think maybe she's just confirming what you said was that even though for the DB, they just need the handling in the first or the second, if they do a handling on the last one, it's still valid, which
It's
you said
okay.
it is.
It's possible for DA, correct. If
Mhm.
the turns before had the correct shape as well. Yeah.
Satoko, if I'm wrong, you can write it in the she said yes, this was her question, so this is good.
Okay, good. And how far back should the hands position be when gymnast, for example, rotates her clubs and crochet balance in order for us to grade it as valid DA? So take it until the elbow. So that's my mark. So if we speak about the major part of the arm, go for the elbow. Yeah, if you have, I understand penché, and then you have to go back. You want to have the circles outside the visual field. And we need the main part of the arm. So that would be sufficient.
I think there was a question in between those two, which says, can you start fish flop from laying down position and finish at the laying down position for the fish flop? Is it enough? I think that relates to on the floor.
Floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to imagine you want to do, for example, a catch during fish flop and when she's on the floor to get this as rotation and floor. But how do you start the fish flop on the floor?
Probably like fully lying down and then you go and then you end fully lying down.
But if you're lying down, for example, on the back,
Mm-hmm.
you're not in the rotation. Yes, you catch it and either you are on the floor or you are in the rotation. Or maybe if you have a clip, that would be interesting to see that in a video clip.
Okay.
So from the description here, I would say no. Either it's on the floor, then you're lying, or you already started the rotation. Then you can have the rotation. To have both here, I just cannot imagine right now.
Great. And Isabel, this last one, and then we'll have you take your break to switch the slides so we can get at least 45 minutes of group before your end time.
Yeah. So ribbon spirals, if the hand is behind the head, but the elbow is front or front side, is DA valid? Yes. For spirals, yes. We look at the hand. So if the hand is here and the elbow here, so I would not recommend that. I mean, if you can teach the gymnast not to do that, it would be great. But if the elbow is here and the hand is behind the head, it's okay.
And
But
just a
better,
reminder, that's written in the code about the spirals and the snakes.
yeah. So behind the head, the hand behind the head, it's okay.
Isabel,
Great.
thank you. I think for everybody, for them to listen to your very clear and concrete explanation was a huge help. I received many messages thanking your explanation because it's different than just watching it by themselves. Thank you very much for the time to answer the questions and for the good explanations.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm
We
happy.
appreciate it.
And now, I mean, we have like 45 minutes. I will
We
just
will take it.
also, let's say, delete some slides from the
Yeah.
group presentation, which we don't need now.
Awesome. We really appreciate whatever we can get until you're cut off.
Okay. Um, okay, 1 second. So I go directly to that slide. So I speak about RGGDA, and I told you before that this is my presentation, this is my responsibility, and I know it was horrible to judge the previous cycle. Even the cycle before it was a disaster. And now we try to simplify. In general, we try to simplify the code of points, but especially RGGDA. So first of all, we reduced the number of collaborations. So we need a minimum of 9, and I speak about the seniors. But we never had a problem with the minimum amount of collaborations. Important is that we have a maximum of 14 collaborations, and also the collaborations are evaluated in chronological order. So if a group has more than 14, we just cut the last ones. From these 14, we need a minimum 3 cc 3 CR and 3 multiple throws or catches. If one of these is missing, so we penalize 0.3 for each missing collaboration. Let's say one group has 0 CCs attempted, then it will be a penalty of 0.9. A general information collaboration is valid when it has been successfully completed by all 5 gymnasts. Important is when the collaboration ends, and it ends when the gymnast which performed the main action finally caught her apparatus, or when the catch is a rethrow, then the rethrow has to be caught, or when we speak about the CC, so when the final action of the CC is finished, then the collaboration itself is finished. And gymnasts inside a collaboration have different roles. So we speak about the main action gymnast, for the gymnast which maybe does the throw. Let's say when we have a multiple throw, the one gymnast who throws 2 or more apparatuses is the main action girl. Or in a CR, it's a main action girl who is throwing, rotating, catching. And we have the role to be linked to the main action gymnast, to creating the obstacle or linked to the obstacle. And through these roles, each of the 5 gymnasts must participate in the collaboration actions. And she has to be involved, or all have to be involved with each other for the collaboration to be valid. This can be by direct body contact, can be by passing over, under, or through a gymnast without contact, or by means of the apparatus. And we check that. Here we check only the participation. So we have the main action gymnast. This is this girl with the multiple throw. She is in touch with her by the body. She's touching her during the throw. And then these 2 are catching and one is rolling the hoop to her. So that means in that collaboration, all 5 participate. And we have some animations here. So always the dark green dot, it's our main action gymnast. And these are only examples. So we have a main action girl, we have an obstacle, it's a dark blue one. And then this one is connected, it's linked to the main action girl. This one is linked to the obstacle. That's all possible. But what's not possible if we have a gymnast who is in relation with a gymnast who has a relation with the gymnast. So always the red dot, it's not a valid participation because this is our main action. This is the collaboration. And this next box, it's a relation in the collaboration. But this one, the red dot, it's too far. There's no relation. Important is, we speak about overlapping collaborations. So important is that a new collaboration may only start when the collaboration difficulty prior is completed as I described before. And if 2 collaborations overlap in time, the second one is not valid. 2 examples here. This is important, therefore I show it a second time without sound. So we have a CR, and you see the CR is not yet finished because she has not caught her ribbon here. This is the main action girl. She didn't catch her ribbon, but this girl here, she already started the CC. So she already touched the ball before. Here, she touched the ball and rolled it. And here the ribbon was not visible in the screen. So, and then the next CC is going on. So that's impossible for judges to see. two collaborations at the same time. So the second collaboration, the CC, starts before the first one is finished, and therefore the CC is not evaluated. That means it's not counted. It's a 0. In that case, we have two CCs. So first we have 1, 2, 3. That girl did the third action. And when she did the third action, also here, this girl started the first action for the second CC. One more time. So this is 1, 2, 3. And together with the third action, the first action starts. So also this one, the second CC is not valid. So different types of collaborations may not be combined. If two collaborations are performed at the same time, for example, a CR and a multiple throw, this counts as an attempt of one DC and is not valid. So combined collaborations, we spoke about it always last cycle. So last time we could have 3 combined collaborations, and this is now not allowed. And you will see that. If you do the exam, of course, you will see that in every routine. That means this is a 0, so we count it as an attempt, but it's automatically a 0. Important is that you write which type of collaboration they use. Not collaboration, which type of rotational element. So if it's a pre-acrobatical element, like here, walk over forward, you have to write it down. And if they have another walk over forward later, it's a repetition. So then it cannot be used again. That's important for the exam. And here is the multiple throw and illusion. It's a 0, and illusion cannot be used again. Also important, and that's new. And it's not new that we cannot repeat pre-acrobatic elements, but new is that a pre-acrobatic element on the floor, so support on the floor, and on the partner is the same. Previous cycle, it was different. You could do a walkover forward on your partner, and you could do walkover forward on the floor, or any other pre-acrobatical element. Now it's one type, so you can use it only once. And if you have a second or a third collaboration with that type, it's a repetition, and these collaborations with the repetition inside are 0. Here we have the first collaboration, walk over forward on a partner. Next one is walk over forward on the floor. And now we have a multiple catch, and this is also a type of walk over forward. Here in this routine, we have 3 collaborations, and I'll show it again. And this would mean the first one, this is okay. This CR would be counted, and now this is a repetition, it's a 0. And this is again a repetition, also 0. So first DC is valid, second and third are not, because it's a repetition of the pre-acrobatical element. Now CC, I go through that quite quickly because we have 2 types. This is not new. It's not possible to have a CC with a high throw. Look at this one. This is a 0, not possible. The base value of a CC is a 0.2. This is new. CC and multiple throws and catches, the value is decreased from 0.3 to 0.2. we need 3 identical actions with apparatus relationships performed in succession with equal intervals between each action. So it's possible that one gymnast is performing 3 identical actions or 2 or more gymnasts performing an identical action in succession for a total of minimum 3 actions. And this you can see, this is the text from the code of points. And therefore, today I would skip the text because you can read it in your code of points. Important is to show you the clips. So this is normal, or these are normal CCs. We can perform this together, all 5 together. Or in subgroups. Here you could see it's 3 in the back and 2 in front. This is in subgroups, totally okay. Each action must start immediately after the previous action has ended or faster. Here, and this is a basic CC. This is a 0-2, this is small throws without any criteria with equal intervals, which is great. And about the intervals, we have a new rule that if we have unequal intervals, we give the difficulty, but there is an execution penalty of 0-1. If we have, like in this third example, like 1, 2, 3, then this would be, we would give it in difficulty, but the execution penalty would be 0-1. If we have 2 actions at the same time, like the first and the second, for example, are totally at the same time, and then the third, this is not according to the definition, and therefore the CC would not be valid. CC can be increased by using additional criteria when executed identically by the gymnast performing the main actions. And each criterion is given once per CC. So base value 0-2 we can have without hands and outside visual field. The total value or the maximum value is 0-4 for a CC. This is without hands. This would be a 0-3. You may say I'm a... Here we have the pullback of the ribbon without hands outside visual field, and this would be a 0-4. And now we have many CC examples. Start. Here you can see the second and third action are at the same time. Therefore, the CC is not valid. This is a great CC with criteria. It's a 0-4. Here we have 2 in a row, both with the criteria, so it's 4 and 4.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That was roll on the floor. It was without hands, but it was not outside visual field. It was not at the back side of her body. And here we have this, what we spoke about in the RGI presentation. So this is considered as outside visual field because her working leg is behind her body. She pushes it with the leg, if you remember this screenshot, and therefore we give it as a 0-4. Here, it's only a 0-3, and we got the question, why it's only 0.3, because when they do the throw, not here, but this, you know, when she releases, it's not behind her body. So this, she has a visual control. And in that moment, sorry, we don't give outside visual field. But it's not impossible. I mean, in a different, with a different technique or different way, could be 0.4. But here, when she released the ball, it was here in this position. This was clear, 0.4. This is a 0.3, and I need to explain that a little bit. So it's without hands. The rebound is on the shoulder, but it's at the side of the body, not behind. So she has it here. She makes a rebound, okay, without hands, but it's here, at least one. So would she do the rebound here? This would be outside visual field, but not when she's doing it on the shoulder, because that's the side of her body. And here it's also an interesting example because we had a big discussion. This is also not black or white. If this is without hands outside visual field or not. So we have following situation. This girl is pulling back the ribbon with the hand and with visual control. And this girl pushes also the ribbon without hands and outside visual field. So she alone in that constellation, so she alone would maybe not perform or execute that movement, how can I say, properly? So what I want to say is this is a combination of the collaboration of these two girls. And after a long discussion, because first I wrote 0.2 for that, but as these gymnasts also push the ribbon without hands outside visual field, we gave a 0.4. But as I said, it's not, yeah, not totally clear, or not, for me, not totally clear. We needed a discussion, and that's at the end the decision. If one gymnast is just standing still, have the ribbons maybe here over the arm, and one gymnast is pulling, we would not give without hands. It's here also kind of exception because the girl with the leg is also, she's doing an active role in that, not a passive. She's giving the impulse with her leg. So I explained we have these two types of criteria. And important is what I just mentioned, the impulse. Where is the impulse coming from for this main action? This is a rebound on the back of the gymnast, and this is an active impulse from the back. It's important to see. So this is a 0.4. Here in the next clip, it's also a rebound or a bounce on the body, but active are the girls which are having the ball with her hands. Look at the balls. So 3 girls are just standing. And in that case, the impulse comes from the hand and with visual control. This is a 0.2. I hope you see or understand the difference between these two examples, by one is a 0.4 and the other one is a 0.2. Construction, I skip. This is the text from the Code of Points. We have the possibility for constructions, but I understand it's just a 0.2. You cannot increase the value. And therefore, I understand if coaches don't prioritize that. But still, there is a possibility to do a construction, but it didn't change since last cycle. And now we go straight to CR. Also here, the good news is nothing changed in the definition. We need a high or long throw. And also here, I skip these slides. Just a clip, I show the clip. It's about the ending. Because here we have a rebound as a catch. And the collaboration is finished in that moment when the clip finished. So when this gymnast caught the rebound, then the collaboration is finished. And we can have a rebound on the body, because we also received that question. Rebound on the body is okay. Here also, I will skip that. That's the throw of the CR. So this marks the beginning of the CR. The catch marks the end. And also here you can see that's the text from the code of points. And here it's the time frame. So this is the duration of a CR. That means we start with a throw. Maybe we have a passing. For sure, we have a rotation. And then we have the catch. And the valid participation is during this part. So between the throw and the catch, this means this is a valid participation of all 5. If the interaction is before that or after, it means it's not a valid participation. And again, the animation. This is a CR. Main action gymnast. She's throwing, rotating. This gymnast is catching the apparatus from the main action. This is the obstacle. And we have one gymnast. She's linked to the obstacle. And then again, we have a red dot gymnast. And unfortunately, again, she's not inside the game. So she's only linked to the gymnast who is linked to the obstacle. And that's not valid. So she has to be in touch with her, or no, with these two in CR. Also that, I'm sorry if I rush a little bit, but we have a lot of slides for the last 20 minutes. Here in this slide, I want to point your attention that a collaboration or CR with a catch with direct roll on the floor to a partner is not valid. This is new. So far that was valid, but there were a lot of question marks. The roll was not good. It was like a bounce or whatever. So sometimes we had the question, is that a loss or is it caught but just an execution mistake? And therefore we eliminated that possibility. So catch with direct roll on the floor to a partner is not possible for CR. Like here. That's a 0. Also, catch with rebound from the floor is not an option for a CR. Also here, this is 0. For CR, it's only valid with a catch from the flight. The base value of a CR is 0.2. We increased that from 0.1 to 0.2. Why? Because many groups choose to do like simple CC before, which had a value of 0.5. Now it's a 0.4, but before it was a 0.5. And the CR, where the groups really take a risk and they have high throws, rotations, and fancy catches, was or had a lower value than CCs. And therefore, to make a better balance between these types of collaborations, we decided to go down with the CC and go up a little bit for the CR. But also these 0.2 can be increased with the use of additional criteria. And additional criteria must be executed by the gymnast performing the main action to be valid. And we need, when we have a CR2, for example, and the gymnast use the same apparatus, we need the identical execution of the same criteria. When we execute it with different apparatus, for example, one ball and one hoop, the same criteria has to be used, but performed with different apparatus. For example, ball and hoop are caught without the help of the hands. I mean, we know that it will be differently, but the use of the same criteria. It's possible to have a CR2 or a CR3. So the value for CR2 is 0.3, and the value for CR3 it's a 0.4. Gymnasts performing the main action must perform identical rotations simultaneously or in rapid succession to be valid. And identical means that the pre-acrobatic elements are from the same group and executed with the same variation. Each gymnast performing the main action must catch an apparatus each. And the CR4 or CR5 is not possible. If groups perform this, the DC is not valid. And also important, and this is a change, we still have the possibility to have series, but important here is the main action gymnast must throw and catch her own apparatus for this criterion. So it's not possible here to receive the apparatus from my partner. And also important, we have it maximally 2 times per exercise, the series. And this is now also important for the exam, because we have clips from the previous cycle, and there they attempt or they performed many series, but many times they didn't receive their own apparatus. That means the series is not valid, but it's an attempt. So in that case, if I throw my apparatus, make 2 rolls forward and receive an apparatus from my partner, the series is not valid, but it is an attempt. And I count only the first 2 attempts per exercise. So in that case, I have to eliminate the series, but I can count a normal CR because that's possible. I throw, make a rotation and catch the apparatus from my partner. That's still okay, but series does not count. So, and if I catch my own apparatus only in the 5th series of that exercise, I don't give the series anymore because I count only the first 2 attempts. That's very important. So in this example, we have a CR2, we have a valid series, but no more criterion because catch, it's differently. One is catching with the hands and one is catching with the legs. So CR2 is a 0.3 plus series of 0.2 is a total value of 0.5. Here we have outside visual field and without hands, nothing changed for that. We can use it 1 time per CR in chronological order. And the big change we have in passing through. Now it's only possible to have passing through, not over, not under anymore, only through. And also not an extra value for passing through the apparatus in flight. There's only one possibility. This is this box. 1 time 0, 1 time per exercise, 1 time per collaboration, not per exercise, 1 time for the collaboration. So we can pass through an apparatus, and these pictures are also not great, but these are screenshots from the clip, which I show you after. Even that one is very bad, but this is passing through a gymnast. It's very bad quality, but you will see that later. Or passing through a closed construction of apparatus and gymnast. And important is that the construction or the passing must always be through a closed construction, also close to the floor. So you can see here, to all 4 sides, we have something. It must be closed. Apparatus or gymnast, doesn't matter, but it must be closed. Even if the ribbon is lying on the floor, but there must be an apparatus or something else. So, and now I pray that these clips are playing well, because it's very quickly some examples now for valid passing. Okay, so these are examples for valid passing. And now we see some for not valid passing.
So many lights.
All the injustice.
And now we go through some CR examples. Practice. Here we had a CR2, valid passing through the hoop, catch without hands, outside visual field. So we have a 0-6. Here CR3, passing. This is a 0-5. That's interesting. I played again because I think it's so hard to see for the first time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 gymnasts throwing, rotating, and catching an apparatus. This is a CR4 and not valid. Here we have a CR3, but not valid for the criteria. The question was also if this girl does a full rotation. I mean, she had some small interruption, but then she finished, but the criteria were not correctly performed. So we give a CR3, no, a CR3, which is a 0-4. This is CR2, passing, catch with the rebound without hands, outside visual field. Here we have a CR3. Catch without hands, outside visual field, 0.6. And here I have to skip that, otherwise we will not finish. Important is that one. So we had the big discussion. What happens when a group performs a CR2, but one gymnast does not finish the rotation? So do we give a 0 or do we give the CR1 with all criterion or not? And also here you can see it's controversial discussion and a compromise at the end. This is the flip. We have CR2. But the girl here on the left side, she could not finish her rotation. This girl throwing the ball. So what are we doing? What's the solution for that? And the compromise is that if a group attempts a CR2 or 3, but one gymnast doesn't perform a full rotation, only the base value for CR1 or CR2 is given without potential criteria. So in that case, it would be a CR1 for 0.2. So it's not nothing, and it's not CR2 with all, CR1 with all criterion. It's a compromise which we decided. It's still possible, maybe that's a bad example, but it's still possible that a group or that a gymnast pass for the participation. So that's the message of that clip, without any attempt to rotate and without high or long throw. So even the gymnast would pass this one in the middle, even if she would pass with a rotation, we would not give this as an attempt of a CR3. So I want to avoid that judges now say everything, or this is an attempt of CR3, and we just give the base value. That's not the case. So we still can participate by passing. Even passing and rotating, if I don't throw, you see it's not an attempt for me to be the main action gymnast in a CR. That's the message from that clip. Okay, this is again the text here. Important that if we have the passing, one apparatus must be in flight. One apparatus from the main action must be in flight. Look at this example. We have here the throw, the passing, rotation, and then the catch. Problem here is that, I show you the text. At the time of the passing through the hoop, the apparatus must be in flight. Maybe there's a comma missing. The apparatus must be in flight. In this example, no apparatus is in flight while the main gymnast is passing through the hoop. And in this case, the CR is valid, but the criterion passing not. And I play it again. So this one, this is the main action gymnast. That's her throw. This is the start of the CR. And this hoop is flying to her. She caught it. And now she's passing through that hoop. But in that moment of her passing, no hoop was in flight. Not the hoop she threw and not the hoop she will catch. So the passing is a criterion which must be executed under the flight of an apparatus to add value. The problem in the previous cycle was that the collaborations were that long. So the throw, then some passing, then some rotation, then the catch. So it was too far apart sometimes. And the criterion passing must be executed under the flight. That's important, and that's a problem here. Right, and now I hope you can stay 10 or 15 more minutes. We go to the multiple throws and catches. So the base value, I told you already, went down from 0.3 to 0.2. This is an example for a base of 0, 2, so there are no additional criterion, but it's a valid collaboration. The change in multiple throws is that it's not necessary anymore to throw the two apparatus in different directions, not in opposite directions. So it can be even with two apparatus in the same direction. Next example. You see, this is not a high and not a long throw. This is nothing. This will be a 0. So here I skip that. Again, only the text. And here I show you the participation. Valid participation must be between the throw and the catch of the apparatuses. And also here this animation for the main action gymnast, the catching gymnast, and here for the multiple throws, it's also okay to be in a relation with the catching gymnast. This will be one part of the errata, so that we add this for the multiple throws. To be in touch or to be linked to the catching gymnast is okay and a valid valid participation. And here very quickly, the red dot again, it's not valid. It's not possible. So this we skip. So I promise to finish 10 after 3, 10 minutes after 3, 10 minutes after 9, my time. Therefore, I'd go directly. Sorry for that. I go directly to the multiple throws, multiple catches, sorry. Just need to find it. Yeah, this is old, but this is important. Just a second. Here, for the multiple catches, we cannot use a rebound or rethrow anymore. That was very confusing and very often it was just not recognized. That means this is a new point here. If the apparatus are caught in rapid succession, the gymnast must be in position of minimum 2 apparatus at the same time before she may distribute the apparatus. Look at that. That was a multiple catch, but with a rebound. That's not valid anymore. And that's okay. That's a multiple catch with criteria and it's valid. So here's the text. We can increase the value by these criteria. And this is just a summary. So I skipped also more examples now. This is what we need. Minimum 3 CC, 3 CR, 3 multiple throws or catches. And we have a 0.3 for each missing, 0.3 penalty. And also important for the juniors. This is the table for the juniors. So here we have a maximum of 10 collaborations in chronological order. Minimum 2 CC, minimum 2 CR, and 2 multiple throws and catches. And that's it for the groups. Sorry to rush that much, but I understand we all have our schedule. And I'm looking now very quickly into the questions.
I do not see a question here on the groups.
One is Writing in German. Thank you. Danke.
I do see German. Danke, vielen Glück, tschüss.
Yes,
I
that's
don't know what that
amazing.
means, but thank you, Tampa Bay.
It's thank you, good luck, and bye.
Isabel, thank you so much. I know, I mean, I can tell from the chat that this was extremely valuable to everybody. And I'm really excited. We had almost 100 coaches and judges on, which for us, middle of the day is awesome. And I truly thank you for your time this evening to walk through all of these explanations, which help a lot. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Caroline. Always my pleasure. And I hope I could answer some questions. Maybe I could eliminate some doubts. And so if you take away some good information, if you feel better after that session, I'm very glad and thankful. Thank you for
I
inviting me.
think everybody took something away, Isabel. Thank you
Okay.
so much. You did a great
That's
job, and we're so happy you're a part of the technical committee because we rely on your clear explanation, your experience, your knowledge, and really your professionalism.
that's nice. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you,
I
and welcome to Germany. They're coming tomorrow, and they're here for the entire month. So everyone
Yes.
can follow our adventures on Instagram. Isabel kicked us off, their leader.
Yeah. And they are so happy. They are looking forward. I know they've never been. I mean, most of them never been to United States. And we try to come on regular basis. Yeah, so every year, some in another city. So we start on the East
We're going to
Coast.
start in the East.
Yes, and hopefully in 2028 we end up in Los Angeles together.
We will. We will end up in Los Angeles together, and we'll start in New York together. And we'll come to Germany too, because this is a lifelong collaboration for us. So thank you.
Exactly. We are
Thank you,
waiting.
USA, for your participation, for your preparation. Hopefully you go back to the gym motivated. Good luck for our team going to Mexico, eventually Brazil. And once again, as Isabel said, congratulations to our 3 judges who had excellent results in Switzerland. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, Dankeschön. Bye.
My pleasure.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. This will be our goodbye.